A lot of the questions from this point forward are going to be focused more on the AP exam and the free response questions. So we might actually be able to skip some, but how do you push students to tackle the more difficult application-oriented questions on the current exam? And how do you instill confidence in them when they approach this type of problem?
I'll bite. I put those kinds of questions in front of my kids on a regular basis. You know, they get bell ringer questions that are patterned after stuff that they would see on the AP exam. They get asked all the time: justify, predict, explain, describe. You know, my kids see that kind of stuff every day. And so by the time they take the exam, they feel really confident in their ability to tackle those types of questions. But it requires a lot of intention. It requires a lot of careful thought. It also requires a lot of time to write questions like that. And I think you'll find stuff like that within the teacher's edition.
I have to jump in on what Lee said, because one of the most important things is for them to practice it. That's the only way that they can really learn it. If they practice it from day one, they're going to get better and better. And the vocabulary, if you use the terms all year long, like she said, claim, evidence, reasoning, justify, dictate, explain, then these are going to be words that they feel comfortable with. And I think more than anything, kids have got to be confident that they can answer these questions. As Ryan said, sometimes the STEM is a page long, and they're intimidated by that. But the thing to tell them again is you are given everything in the STEM that you really need to know. What you have to do is take that prompt and make sure your answer is answering the prompt, not what you think the question is going to ask you. And
yep.
they only get that by using or practicing time after time. And if you don't have, you can always take old AP style questions and just give them a portion of that to do.
Yep.
And I would also say make sure you always use a rubric and show the kids how you score it, only giving them points for what's correct. You never take off. So grade it like we do at the AP reading, actually, and they will become more confident. And I started this with my 9th and 10th graders years ago, and then when you get them as AP students, they're confident that they can answer the question. So I tried to answer that quickly, but it's just important that they know those terms and how to use them.
Agreed.
What are some techniques for strengthening student writing on the FRQs, and what is the best way to prepare them for the FRQs? If you guys have already covered this, let me know and I can get to the next question.
I think the previous question pretty much addressed it. Practice, practice, practice. I mean, put questions in front of those kids that look like the FRQs. If they're not the old ones, give them portions of the old ones. Give them rubrics to score with. Teach them to answer the question that's actually asked, not the ones they think that should have been asked. And tell them to maximize the use of that time, the reading period in front, so they actually read those questions and know what they're being asked.
And one of the things that we do, like to save paper, I'll project an FRQ prompt up on the whiteboard and let my kids attack it with dry erase markers, circling the keywords, scratching out the stuff which does not matter, and then sketching up some predictions about outlining their answer. And you may, there are lots of questions out there. There's you get 3 years times a Form B that gets you 24 questions to practice from. You got AP environmental science questions that often write content that you can use, and then you may other than that. I think there's plenty of questions out there you just have to practice.
The next question we have is, what have you found to be the most effective review strategy leading up to the exam? And as a first-year AP Bio teacher, how much time should we be spending on exam prep?
I think it's important that the kids know from the beginning of the year the format of the exam, so that they are not trying to review for the exam and also get ready for a new style or a new format of the test. So I always fashion my test after the AP exam. There's always a multiple choice section. There's always a couple of grid ends, as well as several free response questions, not 8 like the exam is, but, you know, I think that's important that they do a multiple choice as well as a free response on every test that they take. And if you do that from the beginning and all, I think it makes it a lot easier. Just, again, make sure that you tell them how confident you are in their ability because they've been doing it from day one. I think that's one of the most important things that we should do. And some years I have time to review, and other years, I hate to say it, I'm up against, you know, depending on how many days we missed for snow and how many senior skip days and that sort of thing there were. Sometimes I have very little time for review as far as formal review. It makes it much easier as you look at the big ideas, I think, to put those big ideas up and let the kids tell you where they want to review. Because if you just start from day one and try to go through to the end of the year, they're going to get lost. They don't want to review like that. But I'm sure Lee's got some better ideas.
Well, I was going to say, in terms of, you know, I'm going to echo what Bobbie said about exams. Make your exams look like what the kids are going to see on exam day. Not only does it prepare them for the format of the test, it reduces anxiety about the test, and it builds their confidence, because if they've seen it, you know, 7, 8, 9 times before, you know, in my case, 7, 8, or 9 times before the actual exam, then they're not going to feel, you know, up against the wall about that exam format. And especially the level of questions. Make sure that you're constructing exams that have the same level of questions. Otherwise, if all you're giving them is knowledge level questions and they go into that exam, they're going to feel like they've been thrown in the deep end of the pool without floaties and told to swim. In terms of review strategies, you know, we don't have in-class time to review. We just don't. And so we spend a lot of time, in fact, the entire month of April, just about reviewing those kids. We have after-school sessions where we, you know, the kids come in and we chat about, you know, the different things that we've learned all year long. What are they still, you know, not understanding? What labs are we still not understanding the purpose of? You know, throw up data at them, that kind of stuff. And so, you know, I think everybody probably has different ways that they review their students based on what kind of time they do have. We do what has worked for us, and that is, you know, an hour every day after school in the month of April. We also do weekend reviews with our kids where they can come and they can just ask us whatever they want to about the things that they've learned. You know, so they'll bring their interactive notebooks and pick and choose stuff out of there and talk to us about biology, you know. I mean, it's what we've done for the last, well, I say we, I've only had a partner the last 2 years, what I've done for the last 13 years, and it seems to have worked fairly well.